On October 14th, 1976, Walter Pruitt checked into room 14 at the Ridgeway Motor Lodge. He signed the registration card at 6:47 p.m., paid $12 cash for one night, and asked the desk clerk if the ice machine worked. At 2:15 a.m., the motel went silent. The buzzing vacancy sign continued its pink and turquoise flicker across the empty parking lot. The pool, drained and cracked since the previous summer, collected nothing but desert dust. San Bernardino County ruled it an accidental death. Carbon monoxide from a faulty heater. Case closed in 11 days. But they didn't explain why the heater had been disconnected for 3 months. They didn't explain the registration cards missing from October 12th through 14th. And they didn't explain why Walter Pruitt, a bookkeeper from Barstow, had $17,000 in cash hidden in the lining of his suitcase. 8 months later, Dale Hennessy pulled his pickup into the same parking lot. The vacancy sign still buzzed. The pool was still empty. Nothing much changed out here on Route 66. Hennessy had spent 14 years with California Highway Patrol before his knee gave out on a foot pursuit in Victorville. Now he worked insurance fraud for a company out of Riverside. Paid less, hurt less. Let him sleep at night, mostly. The Pruitt widow had hired him 3 weeks ago. Said the life insurance company was dragging their feet. Said she didn't believe the county report. Said her husband hadn't touched a heater in 40 years of marriage. Always ran hot, she'd said. Always kicked off the covers. Hennessy opened the motel office door. A bell jangled overhead. The smell of cigarettes and pine sol hit him like a memory. The woman behind the counter looked up from a crossword puzzle. Mid-50s, gray roots showing through auburn dye. Reading glasses on a beaded chain around her neck.
Afternoon. I'm looking for whoever was working the desk back in October, night of the 14th.
The woman set down her pencil.
That'd be my husband, Carl. He's not here.
When might he be back?
Couldn't say. He's been in Laughlin since Tuesday. Gambling money, we don't have.
She said it flat, like weather. Hennessy set a business card on the Formica counter.
I'm looking into the Pruitt death. Insurance matter.
Something moved behind her eyes. Quick, then gone.
Already talked to the county. Already told them everything.
I'm not the county.
Dorothy Kessler. The name was on a plaque behind her. Pulled out a registration book from under the counter. She flipped to October without being asked.
Room 14, Walter Pruitt. Checked in at 6:47 p.m. Found dead at 9 a.m. when housekeeping went in. That's all I know.
The county report mentions missing registration cards. October 12th through 14th.
Her fingers tightened on the book's edge.
We have a lot of cards. Things get misfiled.
3 consecutive days. Same week a man dies.
Coincidence.
The heater in room 14 was disconnected. Had been for months.
Dorothy closed the registration book.
I don't know anything about heaters. That's Carl's department. You want to talk about heaters? You find Carl in Laughlin.
Hennessy walked the exterior of the motel, counting doors. 14 rooms total, 7 on each side of the office. Most had their curtains drawn. Only 3 cars in the lot. Room 14 was at the far end, closest to the highway. The door had been repainted, fresh avocado green against the sun-faded frames of its neighbors. The window unit air conditioner looked new. Hennessy knocked. No answer. He tried the knob. Locked. Through the gap in the heavy curtains, he could see the edge of a bed. Orange shag carpet. A rotary phone on the nightstand. The room had been cleaned and reset, but something about the angle of the furniture bothered him. The bed was pushed too close to the wall, like someone had moved it to make room for something, or to cover something. The Ridgeway Diner sat a quarter mile down the highway. Same ownership as the motel, according to the sign. Hennessy ordered coffee and a slice of pie he didn't want. The waitress was young, maybe 22. Name tag said Linda. She poured his coffee without looking at his face.
You work here long?
Since high school. 4 years now.
You remember a man named Walter Pruitt? Died at the motel back in October.
Linda's hand trembled slightly. Coffee splashed onto the saucer.
I don't really pay attention to motel guests.
He ate dinner here the night he died. Receipt was in his pocket.
Linda set the coffee pot down too hard.
I serve a lot of people. Can't remember every face.
She walked away before he could ask another question. Her hands were still shaking. Hennessy ate his pie slowly, watching. The diner had maybe a dozen customers. Truckers mostly, a few families passing through. Linda served them all with the same nervous efficiency, but she never came back to refill his coffee. He left $3 on the counter and walked to the payphone by the restrooms. The Barstow directory was missing half its pages, but he found what he needed. The phone rang 6 times before someone picked up.
Mrs. Pruitt, it's Dale Hennessy. I'm at the motel now. I need to ask you something. Did your husband ever mention a waitress named Linda? Young woman, works at the diner here.
The line crackled with desert static. Mrs. Pruitt. Walter didn't know anyone out there. That's what made it so strange. He had no reason to be at that motel. No reason at all. Hennessy hung up and looked back at the counter. Linda was gone. The San Bernardino County coroner's office was a 2-hour drive. Hennessy made it in 90 minutes. The clerk was a thin man with a comb-over and a short-sleeved dress shirt that had seen better decades. He pulled the Pruitt file without enthusiasm.
Carbon monoxide. Open and shut. What's the insurance company's problem?
The heater was disconnected.
That's in the report. Probably reconnected it himself. Didn't know what he was doing. Happens more than you'd think.
Any photographs? Of the room, the body?
The clerk flipped through the file.
Should be. Hold on.
He flipped again. His comb-over fell forward.
That's strange. Photo packet's not here. Must be misfiled.
Like the registration cards at the motel.
The clerk looked up sharply.
I don't know anything about that.
Hennessy drove back to the Ridgeway as the sun dropped behind the mountains. The vacancy sign flickered on, pink and turquoise bleeding into the purple dusk. He'd rented room 13, right next to where Pruitt died. The room smelled like mothballs and old cigarettes. Avocado bedspread, wood-paneled walls, orange shag carpet worn thin near the door. The rotary phone sat on the nightstand like it had been waiting for him. Hennessy spread his case materials across the bed. Pruitt's last credit card statement. The county coroner's report, minus photos. A photocopy of the motel receipt Mrs. Pruitt had found in her husband's suit pocket. One thing bothered him most, the $17,000. A bookkeeper making $22,000 a year doesn't carry that kind of cash. Not unless he's running from something. Or toward it. At 11 p.m., Hennessy heard a car pull into the lot. He moved to the window, parted the curtains an inch. A brown Ford pickup parked in front of the office. A man got out, heavy-set, wearing a mesh-back cap and work boots. He walked into the office without looking around. 10 minutes later, the office light went out. The man didn't come back to the truck. Hennessy checked his watch. Then he opened his door quietly and crossed the parking lot to the office. Through the window, he could see Dorothy Kessler and the man sitting at a small table in the back room. They were arguing. Dorothy was crying. The man slammed his fist on the table. Dorothy flinched. Then she looked up, directly at the window. Hennessy stepped back into the shadows, but he knew she'd seen him. Morning came with a knock on the door. Hennessy had been awake for hours. Dorothy Kessler stood in the early light, arms crossed, no makeup. She looked 10 years older than yesterday.
You need to leave.
I paid for 2 nights.
I'll refund you. Pack your things.
Who was the man last night?
Dorothy's jaw tightened.
My husband, Carl. He came back from Laughlin.
He didn't look happy to be home.
That's none of your business. None of this is your business. The county closed the case. Let it stay closed.
A man died in the room next door. His widow wants to know why.
Dorothy's eyes went wet, but no tears fell.
Sometimes it's better not to know. You understand. Sometimes the truth is worse than the wondering.
She turned and walked back to the office. She didn't look back. Hennessy didn't pack. He drove into town instead. Barstow wasn't much. A main street, some gas stations, a hardware store that looked like it hadn't changed since 1952. The public library was a single room in the back of the community center. The librarian found him the local newspaper archives. October 1976. He spread them across a reading table and started looking. October 12th. Nothing unusual. October 13th. A car accident on Route 66, 2 miles west of the Ridgeway. Driver fled the scene. Vehicle registered to a company called High Desert Transport out of Needles. October 14th. Walter Pruitt found dead. October 15th. No mention of the death, but there was a small item about High Desert Transport. Their Needles facility had been cited for safety violations. 3rd time that year. High Desert Transport. Hennessy wrote the name in his notebook and circled it twice. The librarian, a woman named Ruth with silver hair and bifocals, watched him from behind her desk.
You're the one asking about the motel death.
Word travels fast.
Small town. Dorothy Kessler called her sister this morning. Her sister's in my bridge club.
Hennessy closed his notebook.
That poor man, Walter Pruitt. He used to come in here sometimes.
Pruitt came to this library?
Once a month or so, looking at county records, property transfers, business filings. Said he was doing research for a client.
Did he ever mention what kind of client?
No, but the last time he came in, must have been early October, he was asking about High Desert Transport. Wanted to know who owned it.
Hennessy felt the case shift under his feet. The county recorder's office was 3 blocks away. Hennessy walked. High Desert Transport was registered in 1971. Sole proprietor, Carl Kessler. The same Carl Kessler who owned the Ridgeway Motor Lodge. The same Carl Kessler who'd slammed his fist on the table last night while his wife cried. Hennessy kept digging. High Desert Transport held a commercial carrier license. Primary cargo, agricultural equipment. Secondary, general freight. The safety citations Ruth mentioned were all for the same thing. Vehicles operating with falsified weight logs. Trucks registered to carry 3 tons, actually carrying 7. Or more. Hennessy had seen this before. During his patrol days, they'd pulled over trucks running heavy. Usually it was just corner cutting, trying to save on shipping costs. Sometimes it was something else. Something you didn't declare on a manifest. Hennessy found the diner empty except for 2 truckers in a corner booth. Linda wasn't working. A different waitress, older, heavy-set, poured his coffee.
Linda have the day off?
Called in sick. 3rd time this week.
Hennessy left $1 on the counter and drove to the address he'd found in the phone book. Linda Marsh, 442 Cactus Lane. A single-wide trailer on the edge of town. Her car was in the driveway. A rusted Datsun with a cracked windshield. The curtains were drawn. Hennessy knocked. No answer. He knocked again.
Go away.
Miss Marsh, I just want to talk. About Walter Pruitt.
Silence. Then the sound of a chain sliding free. The door opened 2 inches. Linda's face appeared in the gap. She'd been crying.
He was a good man. That's all I'm going to say.
Linda let him in. The trailer was small but clean. Photographs on the walls, family pictures, high school graduation. A ceramic cat on the television.
I can't talk long. Carl's got people watching.
Carl Kessler.
Linda sat on the edge of a worn couch, hands clasped between her knees.
He owns everything out here. The motel, the diner, the transport company. Half the town owes him money.
How did you know Walter Pruitt?
He came to the diner a few times. We talked. He was kind. Asked about my life, my family, not like most men passing through.
The night he died, you saw him?
Linda's hands tightened.
He came for dinner, around 7. He seemed nervous, kept looking at the door.
Did he say why?
No, but he gave me something, told me to keep it safe.
She stood and walked to a closet, reached behind a stack of blankets, pulled out a manila envelope. The envelope was thick. Hennessy opened it carefully. Inside, photocopies of shipping manifests. High Desert Transport. Dates going back 2 years. Each one showed the same pattern. Cargo declared as agricultural equipment, but the weights didn't match. Trucks registered for 3 tons carrying loads of 8, 9, 10 tons, and handwritten notes in the margins. Pruitt's handwriting, Hennessy assumed. Dollar amounts, dates, names. One name appeared more than any other. Garrett.
Who's Garrett?
I don't know. Walter never said.
These manifests. Pruitt was tracking something. Something Carl Kessler was hauling that he didn't want on the books.
I don't know what any of it means. I just kept it like he asked.
Hennessy looked at the dates. The last manifest was October 13th, the day before Pruitt died. Hennessy drove back to the motel with the envelope on the passenger seat. The sun was setting again, painting the desert orange and purple. Dorothy Kessler was waiting outside his room.
I told you to leave.
Your husband runs heavy trucks, falsified weight logs. Counties cited him 3 times.
Dorothy's face went pale.
Walter Pruitt was a bookkeeper. He was tracking the discrepancies. Someone hired him to build a case.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know your husband came home from Lachlan the same night I started asking questions. I know you've been crying. I know you're scared.
Dorothy looked at the envelope in his hand.
Where did you get that?
Doesn't matter. What matters is what's inside, and what your husband did to keep it quiet.
Dorothy's composure broke. She covered her face with her hands.
Carl didn't kill anyone, I swear to God.
Then who did?
I don't know.
But you know something.
Dorothy wiped her eyes with the back of her hand.
Carl got a call that night. October 14th, around midnight. He left and didn't come back until morning. When he did, he told me to keep my mouth shut and burn the registration cards from that week.
You burned them?
I threw them away. In the dumpster behind the diner. But someone else burned them. I saw the ashes the next day.
Who called him?
I don't know. But Carl said a name before he left. Said it like a curse.
What name?
Dorothy looked at the ground.
Garrett. He said Garrett.
Garrett. The name in Pruitt's notes. The name Carl Kessler. Said like a curse. Hennessy went back to the county recorder's office the next morning. Searched every business filing from the past 5 years. Nothing under the name Garrett. He tried the phone book. 3 Garretts listed in San Bernardino County. 2 were elderly women. The 3rd didn't answer. He drove to the address anyway. A house in Victorville, split level, brown lawn, for sale sign in the yard. The neighbors said the family had moved out 6 months ago. Didn't leave a forwarding address. Hennessy sat in his truck and looked at Pruitt's notes again. The name Garrett appeared 17 times. Always next to the largest shipments. Always next to the highest dollar amounts. Whoever Garrett was, he wasn't hiding in phone books. He was hiding in plain sight. Mrs. Pruitt answered on the second ring.
I need to ask about your husband's work, the clients he was seeing before he died. Mrs. Pruitt, Walter worked for a lot of people, small businesses mostly, tax preparation, bookkeeping. Anyone named Garrett?
The line went quiet. Mrs. Pruitt, that name. Walter mentioned it once, maybe a month before he died. Said someone named Garrett had hired him to look into a shipping company. Said it could be dangerous.
Did he say why? Mrs. Pruitt, he said the numbers didn't add up. Said this Garrett person wanted proof before going to the authorities. Proof of what? Mrs. Pruitt, he wouldn't tell me. Said it was better if I didn't know. Said if anything happened to him, I should forget the name and move on.
Hennessy gripped the phone tighter.
Do you have any of his files? Anything with Garrett's contact information? The police took everything. Said it was routine. I never got it back.
Hennessy drove to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. The deputy at the front desk was young, barely out of training.
I need to see the evidence collected from the Walter Pruitt death investigation. October 1976.
That case is closed.
I'm working for the widow. Insurance matter.
The deputy checked a logbook, flipped pages, checked again.
Says here the evidence was transferred.
Transferred where?
Doesn't say. Just says transferred. November 3rd. Authorized by... Hold on.
He squinted at the handwriting.
Authorized by Sergeant R. Garrett.
Hennessy felt the desert heat despite the air conditioning.
Sergeant Garrett. He work here?
Not anymore. Transferred to Needles Station about 6 months ago. Right after
The deputy stopped, looked up at Hennessy.
the Pruitt case closed.
Needles was 2 hours east. Hennessy drove straight through. The Needles station was a small building at the edge of town, baking in the afternoon sun. The desk sergeant looked up when Hennessy walked in.
I'm looking for Sergeant Garrett.
Ray's not here. Won't be back until Monday.
It's important.
Everything's important to somebody. You can wait, or you can leave a message.
Where can I find him?
The sergeant leaned back in his chair.
Ray's got a place out past the river, off-grid. Doesn't like visitors.
I'm not a visitor. I'm an investigator.
Then you should know better than to go out there without an invitation.
He wrote an address on a piece of paper and slid it across the desk.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
The address led to a dirt road that wound through creosote and Joshua trees. Hennessy's truck kicked up dust for 3 miles before he saw the house. It was a single-story adobe, weathered but well maintained. A patrol car sat in the shade of a metal carport. A dog barked once, then went silent. Hennessy parked and got out. The heat hit him like a fist.
That's far enough.
A man stepped around the corner of the house. Late 40s, sunburned, wearing civilian clothes. He held a shotgun loosely at his side.
I don't know you. And I don't like people I don't know driving up my road.
Sergeant Garrett? I'm Dale Hennessy, former Highway Patrol. I'm looking into the death of Walter Pruitt.
Garrett's expression didn't change.
That case is closed.
That's what everyone keeps telling me.
Garrett didn't lower the shotgun, but he didn't raise it either.
You drove a long way for nothing. Pruitt died of carbon monoxide. Faulty heater. Tragic accident.
The heater was disconnected.
Reconnected it himself. Didn't know what he was doing.
The photos from the scene are missing. So is the evidence from his motel room.
Garrett's jaw tightened.
Things get lost. Happens all the time.
You transferred the evidence yourself. November 3rd. Your signature's in the log.
Silence. The wind pushed dust across the yard.
You need to leave.
Pruitt had documents. Shipping manifests from high desert transport. Your name is in his notes. 17 times.
Garrett's knuckles whitened on the shotgun.
I'm going to say this once. Go back to wherever you came from. Forget this case. Forget my name.
Or what?
Or you'll end up like Pruitt, asking questions nobody wants answered.
Hennessy didn't leave. He drove back to the Ridgeway and sat in his truck, thinking. Garrett was dirty. That much was clear. But dirty how? The manifest suggested smuggling. Trucks running heavy, cargo undeclared. Carl Kessler owned the transport company. Garrett had covered up evidence, but what were they moving? And who was paying? The $17,000 in Pruitt's suitcase. That was the question that kept nagging. A bookkeeper building a case against smugglers wouldn't carry that kind of cash. Not unless someone was paying him to look the other way, or unless he'd been paid to do something else entirely. Hennessy opened the envelope again, looked at the dates. The shipments had been running for 2 years. Pruitt had been tracking them for 3 months. 3 months. Then suddenly dead. And $17,000 richer. Hennessy called Mrs. Pruitt again.
The $17,000 in your husband's suitcase. Where did it come from?
Long silence. Mrs. Pruitt. I don't know. Walter never told me about any money.
Mrs. Pruitt, I need you to be honest with me. Your husband was into something dangerous. If you know anything, he said it was a bonus, said his client was very generous. I didn't ask questions. Which client? Mrs. Pruitt. I told you. Garrett.
Hennessy's mind raced.
Garrett paid your husband $17,000? Mrs. Pruitt. Walter said it was for his work, for the documentation. He said they were going to expose something big, said the payout would be worth the risk. But the exposure never happened. Mrs. Pruitt. No, it never happened. And now Walter's dead, and I'm alone with questions nobody will answer.
Morning. Hennessy drove to the diner. Linda was working again. She looked worse than before. Dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking as she poured coffee.
We need to talk.
Not here.
Then where?
The pool. Behind the motel. Nobody goes there.
An hour later, Hennessy stood at the edge of the cracked, empty pool. Linda arrived on foot, looking over her shoulder.
Carl knows you talked to his wife. He knows about the envelope.
How?
Dorothy told him. She tells him everything.
Is she safe?
For now. Carl needs her to run the motel. But you need to be careful. Carl's got friends. Garrett's got friends. They don't like people digging.
Tell me about the night Pruitt died. Everything you remember.
Linda sat on the pool's edge, feet dangling into the empty basin.
Walter came to the diner around 7. Ordered the meatloaf. He was nervous, like I said before. Kept checking his watch.
Did anyone else come in?
A few truckers, regular customers. But there was one man I didn't recognize. Came in about 8, sat in the corner booth. Watched Walter the whole time.
What did he look like?
Average. Brown hair, maybe 40. Wore a windbreaker even though it was warm out. He ordered coffee but didn't drink it.
Did he talk to Pruitt?
No. But when Walter left, the man left too. Followed him out to the parking lot.
Hennessy wrote it down.
Did you see what kind of car he drove?
A sedan. Dark blue, I think. California plates.
And you didn't tell the police this?
Nobody asked. The county closed the case in 11 days. They didn't want to know.
Dark blue sedan. California plates. A man in a windbreaker who watched Pruitt and followed him out. Hennessy drove to the California Highway Patrol Station in Barstow. He still knew people there. People who owed him favors. Deputy Chief Wilson was an old friend. They'd worked traffic together in the 60s before Wilson moved up and Hennessy's knee moved him out.
Dale, what brings you back to the desert?
I need a favor. Off the books.
Last time you said that, I ended up testifying in Riverside.
This is different. I need to know if CHP ran any plates near the Ridgeway Motor Lodge the night of October 14th, 1976.
Wilson leaned back in his chair.
That's a cold trail. 8 months old.
I know, but there might be a patrol log. Someone might have noted something.
This about the Pruitt death?
Word really does travel fast out here.
Wilson made some calls. An hour later, he had an answer.
October 14th, 1976. Patrol unit ran a plate at 11:47 p.m. Blue Ford sedan, California plates. Registered to the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department.
A sheriff's vehicle.
Unmarked. Assigned to internal investigations.
Who was driving?
Log doesn't say. But I can tell you who signs out the internal investigation vehicles.
Hennessy already knew.
Sergeant Raymond Garrett. He's the only one with authorization.
Hennessy stood up.
I need one more thing. The accident report from October 13th. Car went off Route 66, 2 miles west of the Ridgeway. Driver fled the scene.
That's easy. Those reports are public record.
Wilson pulled a file from a cabinet.
Vehicle registered to High Desert Transport. Driver never identified. But the cargo manifest was interesting. Agricultural equipment, it said. Only the truck was empty when we found it.
The pieces were coming together. Hennessy sat in his truck outside the CHP station, arranging the facts in his head. High Desert Transport, Carl Kessler's company. Running trucks heavy for 2 years. The manifest said agricultural equipment, but the weights were wrong. Way wrong. October 13th. A High Desert truck goes off the road near the Ridgeway. Driver flees. Truck is empty when found. October 14th. Walter Pruitt checks into room 14. He's been tracking the shipments for months. He's got documentation. He's got $17,000 in cash. That same night, a blue sedan from the sheriff's department is spotted near the motel. The sedan assigned to Sergeant Raymond Garrett. October 15th. Pruitt is dead. Carbon monoxide, they say. but the heater was disconnected. Garrett takes the evidence, burns the registration cards, closes the case in 11 days. But what was in those trucks? And where did Pruitt's $17,000 really come from? Hennessy went back to the library. Ruth was there. Same bifocals, same silver hair.
I need to see everything you have on high desert transport. Business filings, news clippings, anything.
You look tired.
I am tired, but I'm close to something.
Ruth disappeared into the back room, came back with a folder.
This is everything from the local papers. Not much, I'm afraid.
Hennessy spread the clippings across the table. Most were routine business items. Grand opening announcement in 1971. A charity donation in 1973. But one article caught his eye. September 1976. A month before Pruitt died. The headline read, "State investigates desert shipping firms." The article mentioned several companies under scrutiny for suspected smuggling. High Desert Transport was listed among them. The investigation was being led by the California Attorney General's office. Contact: Special Investigator R. Garrett. Special Investigator R. Garrett, not Sergeant. Investigator. Hennessy read the article twice. Garrett had been working for the state before he joined the sheriff's department. Before the Pruitt case. Before everything. He drove to the motel. Dorothy Kessler was behind the counter, alone.
Your husband. When did he first meet Garrett?
I don't.
Stop. I know Garrett was investigating high desert transport before Pruitt died. I know he was working for the state. Now he's a sergeant in Needles, and the evidence is gone.
Dorothy's hands trembled.
Carl knew him from before. From the army, he said. They served together.
And when the state investigation started?
Garrett came to Carl, said he could make it go away. For a price.
How much?
I don't know. But Carl started coming home with cash. Lots of cash. Said it was from extra shipments.
The picture was becoming clearer. Darker. Hennessy pushed harder.
What was in the trucks? What was Carl really hauling?
I don't know. I swear I don't know. He never told me.
But you have an idea.
Dorothy looked at the door, then back at Hennessy.
There's a warehouse, out past the old airfield. Carl goes there sometimes at night, takes the truck, comes back empty.
What's at the warehouse?
I followed him once, 2 years ago. There were other trucks there, men unloading crates. I couldn't see what was inside, but the smell.
What smell?
Chemicals, like cleaning fluid, but stronger. It burned my eyes from 50 feet away.
Chemicals. Heavy trucks. Falsified manifests. The state investigation. Hennessy knew what they were moving. He'd seen it before, in his patrol days. The smell that burned your eyes from 50 feet away. The old airfield was 6 miles north of town. Hennessy waited until dark. The warehouse was exactly where Dorothy said it would be. A corrugated metal building. No lights, no signs. A chain-link fence surrounded the property. The gate was locked, but rusted. Hennessy climbed the fence and approached on foot. The smell hit him before he reached the door. Ether. Acetone. The unmistakable chemical signature of methamphetamine production. He'd busted 3 labs during his patrol years. The smell never left you. The warehouse door was padlocked. Through a crack in the siding, he could see the interior. Chemical drums, glass equipment, propane tanks. A makeshift lab. Industrial scale. High Desert Transport wasn't hauling agricultural equipment. They were hauling precursor chemicals and distributing the product. Garrett wasn't investigating smuggling. He was protecting it, taking his cut. And anyone who got too close ended up like Walter Pruitt. Hennessy drove back to his motel room. He needed to call Wilson. Needed to report what he'd found. This was bigger than insurance fraud now. This was federal. The door to room 13 was open. Hennessy stopped. He'd locked it. He was certain. He reached under his jacket for the .38 he'd carried since his patrol days. Pushed the door open with his foot. The room had been tossed. Mattress overturned. Drawers emptied. His case files scattered across the orange shag carpet. The manila envelope. Linda's envelope, Pruitt's documents, was gone. On the bed, a single sheet of paper, typed, "Last warning. Leave or join Pruitt." Hennessy looked at the paper for a long moment. Then he picked up the rotary phone and dialed.
Wilson, it's Dale. I need backup, and I need it now.
Wilson arrived at dawn with 2 CHP units and a federal agent from the DEA field office in Riverside. They'd been building a case on desert meth operations for months. Hennessy's information filled in the gaps. By noon, they had a warrant. By evening, the warehouse was surrounded. Carl Kessler was inside. So was Garrett. The arrest went clean. Carl came out with his hands up, face blank. Garrett tried to run, made it 50 yards before a CHP officer tackled him in the desert scrub. Hennessy watched from behind the perimeter tape. The federal agent approached him.
They're talking already, blaming each other. Kessler says Garrett ran the operation. Garrett says he was just providing protection.
What about Pruitt?
Neither one's admitting to that. Yet. But we found something in the warehouse. A heater unit. Same model as the one in room 14.
Hennessy nodded slowly. Hennessy sat in his truck outside the Ridgeway Motor Lodge. The vacancy sign still buzzed. The pool was still empty. Some things never changed. Here's what happened. Walter Pruitt was hired by Garrett himself. The state investigation was real. Garrett was supposed to build a case against the desert meth operations. Instead, he saw an opportunity. He approached Carl Kessler, his old army buddy, and offered a deal. He'd kill the investigation in exchange for a cut of the profits. But Garrett needed documentation to make the case disappear convincingly. He hired Pruitt to create the paper trail, fake evidence that would exonerate Kessler while making it look like a thorough investigation. The $17,000 was Pruitt's payment, but Pruitt got greedy. Or maybe he got a conscience. He started keeping real records alongside the fake ones. Documentation of the actual smuggling. He was going to sell it to someone else, or use it as leverage. Garrett found out, and on October 14th, 1976, he made sure Walter Pruitt stopped asking questions. 3 weeks later, Hennessy drove to Barstow one last time. Mrs. Pruitt met him at her front door. "Mrs. Pruitt, they said you're the one who found out what really happened."
I found out enough. Your husband made some bad choices, but he didn't deserve what happened to him. Mrs. Pruitt, and the money? The 17,000? Evidence. The feds took it.
She nodded. She'd expected that. "Mrs. Pruitt, will they pay? Garrett and the others?"
Garrett's facing federal charges, conspiracy, racketeering, and they're reopening the investigation into your husband's death. This time they'll look at the heater. They'll look at everything.
Mrs. Pruitt wiped her eyes. "Mrs. Pruitt, thank you, Mr. Hennessy, for not letting him be forgotten." Hennessy walked back to his truck. The desert sun was high and hot. The vacancy sign at the Ridgeway would keep buzzing. The pool would stay empty, but room 14 had finally given up its secrets.